You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis.
Hello, what is up, everybody? Thank you for joining me today on podcast number 25. And what a doozy of a show I have for you. You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. Thank you for joining me today. If you're listening to this podcast on Spotify, I thank you for spending your time with me. If you're listening to the restream of this podcast on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like, comment on the podcast. New podcasts will typically air twice a week, every Wednesday and Saturday. So please feel free to share any of the podcasts you come across on social media. And other than that, I won't take up much more of your time. Let's get into it. A lot to get into. And what I mean by that is there are things going on that I didn't think I would be touching today on the podcast. As we saw last night, unless you've been under a rock somewhere and you don't know what is going on, the United States has it was a shakeup last night. It was a shakeup. You had protests going on everywhere. Because of the death of George Floyd, which took place in Minneapolis. We all know the officer, the white officer. I believe his name is Derek Chauvin. I could be mispronouncing his last name, but I would assume that by now we all have seen the video of the tactic that he uses with Mr. George Floyd, the black guy who unfortunately lost his life at the hands of the Minneapolis police. He took a knee to his neck and pretty much suffocated. Now, there was a report that came out yesterday that said the coroner's office said that there was no sign of suffocation or whatever. And you can miss me with all that. I can care less about it. I know what I saw on the video, and they're saying that he possibly has some pre-existing health conditions, and that could be true. Could it be true? I don't know. I don't know Mr. George Floyd. He could have had some stuff going on. But still, the man was murdered. And he was murdered at the hands of the Minneapolis Police Department, and that blood is on Mr. Derek Chauvin, the officer who put his knee into Mr. George Floyd's neck, as he continuously said that, he could not breathe. So because of that, last night, Friday night, you had protests pretty much going on everywhere in the United States. Major cities, major metropolitan cities. I saw protests on the news taking place right here in my backyard in Atlanta. Protests going on in Minneapolis, of course. They're still protesting up there. San Jose. You saw some things in Oakland. Houston. You can add New York to the list. Detroit. Chicago. There's protests everywhere going on because of the death of George Floyd and the black people wanting justice And you have police officers who aren't held to the same standards as just everyday regular civilians. Now, you had the looting going on and the riots and all that. Everybody wanted a peaceful protest. And you have people that are using the protest to taking advantage of it. I get it. And then you have people calling out those people, saying, oh, well, those people shouldn't be looting. They're taking away from what the protest is really about. Here's my thing. When there were peaceful protests, did it solve anything? Think about that. Did it solve anything? When there were peaceful protests, there were still innocent black people and people of color still being killed in the United States of America. Every day. Every day. So what is it that we as black people can do so that we are treated and the same as our white counterparts? Now, I'm looking at the news, and it's one thing that really bothered me. I hear, the mayor of Atlanta, Keisha Bottoms, I believe that's her name, and her last name, I believe that's what it is. She had a press conference last night urging the citizens of Atlanta to go home. Now, she brought rappers T.I. and Killer Mike onto the podium where she was having her press conference at. And it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Now, don't get me wrong. Looting and tearing up your own communities make no sense. I think it's dumb. Now, I'm going to be real with you here. You might not like what I say, but if you're going to go that route and destroy communities, tear down your city officials' buildings. Go there. Don't tear down the small businesses in the neighborhood. The businesses that you have to frequent, in your everyday life. Start those with the city official buildings. Go to the state capitol or whatever. Destroy those places if that's what you feel you need to do. I'm not going to tell you don't do it because, like I said earlier, peaceful protest has gotten people of color nowhere in this country. It's like what Malcolm X has said before. Sometimes you got to hit people with what they understand. And whatever that is, that's what it is. If they understand violence, then hey, is this what I got to do to be treated fairly? I know some people might not like what I'm saying, but it's the truth and it is what it is. Sometimes you got to get uncomfortable. I'm sorry. Sometimes you have to get uncomfortable to be comfortable. It is what it is. And the thing that bothered me with Killer Mike coming on to the podium last night, I've seen people online and on Facebook raving about, oh, I'm so proud to be a part of Atlanta. And they're raving, those are my leaders and whatever. And Keisha Bottoms is saying, the mayor, she's saying how Killer Mike and T.I. owns half the West Side and you're destroying their buildings when you destroy your neighborhood. Well, let me tell you something. I grew up on the West Side of Atlanta. Okay. I came up on the West Side. I am a product of the West Side Atlanta. I grew up on Donnelly Avenue, right off of Cascade. Okay. I went to Atlanta public schools. All right. So don't come to me don't feed me that nonsense about, oh, you're destroying your community and you're destroying the businesses that they own and whatever. Man, F those businesses. I'm going to be real with you here. F them. That's how I feel. We the black people have been done so wrong in this country, but we are the ones who pretty much built this country. I don't care nothing about that. Like I said, sometimes you got to get uncomfortable to get comfortable. You know, stop telling me, like Killer Mike last night was saying about, if you want to make a real change, go to your polls and your senses. You know, don't miss me with all that. Miss me with all that census reports, and you know you're going to go vote to put whoever in office. Because the people that we need in office, they aren't running for office. Why? Because chances are they probably won't be voted in. I'm here to tell you, look, if you want to believe that voting works, then go right ahead. You believe that I don't believe in voting. I don't. Now, Colin Kaepernick, you know, he's come out. He says that he's going to take care of the, you know, if you apparently got into some trouble or whatever, he would try to help have some kind of fund to pay people's to have a lawyer representation. Now, remember, it came out that he didn't even vote in the last presidential election. I'm not mad at him. Let me tell you something about the government. If you really think that your vote counts, you really trust the government that much, the United States government, to be up front, because you clicked the box that said, I want this guy to go on there. You don't think they can you know, change that or whatever? You think that really counts? This government will lie to you before you can say the number one. This government will lie to you. They will lie to your face. So don't tell me voting works. Voting doesn't work. I've been alive 37 years. It's the same old, same old. Has voting worked in my 37 years? My short time that I've been on this earth? I haven't seen it work in my lifetime. Have I seen black men and people of color constantly being gunned down by police? Yeah, I've seen it. But yet people still go out and vote because they say vote and show up at your polls, and you know, and it starts really with your city officials who you vote in, you know, in your cities and all that to be your mayors, and you know, but that doesn't work either. You know, I want to see some black governors. I haven't seen black governor. Has there been a black governor in Georgia? Let me know. I could be wrong. I think when I moved here, Zell Miller was the governor, and then it was the Roy guy. I don't want to say his name. I don't know if Roy Barnes was his name. I could be wrong. And now we have Governor Kemp. Yeah, they'll put a black face. You know, they'll let them be mayor of a black city, a black major metropolitan city. But I'm still waiting on that black governor. Think about it. We just got a black president. We just got a black president, which wasn't long ago, and that almost felt like the late Patrice O'Neal said, we gave it a shot. You know, we gave him a shot. That's what it felt like. I'm tired of the whole go to your polls and vote for your elected officials, because it doesn't work. It doesn't. My father is over 60 years old. Okay? He's over 60 years old. He votes. Does it work? I have an aunt who's almost 70 years old. She votes. She votes every chance. It doesn't. If you would vote for the best video game of all time, she'll go out there and vote in that. Does it change anything? She's almost 70. So we have almost 100 years where, you know, that I know of where black people can vote. Has voting changed anything in the United States of America? So please, Killer Mike, miss me with that. Don't bring that to me at all. That irks my nerves. It's like Family Guy with with your boy, the father's name. What is his name? Peter. Remember, he used to have the segment, "What grinds my gears?" That grinds my gears when someone says, "Well, you got to go out and vote." Get out of here. Get out of here with that. I totally believe the only thing that brings change in this country, in the U.S. of A., is death and money. Now, I hated that George Floyd had to die. He didn't have to die. So let me not say that. He didn't have to die. What you had was a racist police officer that murdered him. So maybe his death will bring some type of change. That's what I believe. I believe, like I said, death and money brings change into this world. Well, to the U.S. at least. So hopefully his death will bring some kind of change and will hold police officers to some certain accountability. Now, just the whole TI thing just threw me off, and the mayor, the mayor, it just sounded like it was to me it was cliche. Don't tell me about, oh, I had to call my son to see where he was. I'm a black man, ma'am. I'm a black man. And I get it. Your son is 18. I think she said her son was 18 when she gave her empowered speech to the citizens of Atlanta and to ask them to stop looting and rioting and destroying the city. I get it. Ma'am, I'm a black man. Okay? I got to live this life every single day. Every day, somebody like me, my skin color, goes out into this world. You kiss your wife or your girlfriend or your significant other, whoever, and you kiss your kids, and you say, well, I'll see you when I get home. And you walk out that door and you get in your car, and all you can do is pray that you make it back home alive that same day, at the end of the day. So don't come to me with I had to call my son and tell him to don't stay inside and all that and whatever. Ma'am, I'm someone's son too. I have kids myself. But first and foremost, I'm a black man living in the United States of America. So don't come at me with that nonsense. I just wish they had kept that to themselves. If you wanted them to end the protest peacefully, don't come at me with that political mumble jumble mess. I'm not feeling it at all. At all. Now you got your sheep out there. They want to go vote for you, and she gave this riveting speech and look, kick rocks. All right. Because here's my thing: you don't come into the hood unless you want something. That's all rich people. All of them. They don't come into the hood until they want something. When are these dudes even ever come into the hood? Now, I'm not saying like somebody like Killer Mike and T.I., like they don't have businesses and they're not giving back. They give back in their own way. I don't know which way, how that is. I don't really follow those guys. Now, I know Killer Mike had his little thing on Netflix showing black men how to be entrepreneurs. And, I know he owns a couple of businesses. One being, he has the barbershop inside State Farm Arena where the Hawks play. But, brother, when are you going back into the actual city and to that west side that the mayor spoke about yesterday? She said this, that they own businesses in the west side. But when are you really giving back to your people in the west side? When are you coming into the west side and creating jobs for people? Okay? When are you holding job fairs for people? When are you giving back to families that are struggling, living check to check? Okay, when you're worth all this money, I truly do believe that you need to give back when you have a certain amount of money, especially when you're a multimillionaire. I'm not telling you how to give back, and I'm not really trying to be in your pockets. But my thing is, if you're gonna be about helping people, then you need to start in your hoods first. Start there. Homelessness is a big problem, not just in Atlanta, but around the world. Homelessness. How about you open up a community center for families with kids, mothers and fathers that might have been laid off? They were living check to check, and they need a safe place to lay their head at. They need to give their kid a warm meal at the end of the day. They haven't eaten nothing all day long, or the kids might have went to school and had lunch, and that's the only meal they had all day. How about we help some of those people? There was a kid who was recruited by the Georgia Tech. He was recruited by Georgia Tech to play football for the Yellow Jackets. I believe the kid was from Florida. He was so worried about how his family was going to survive without him, being that they were living in a car, they had no roof over their head, and he ultimately, sadly, ended up killing himself. Here this kid is with the opportunity. He had a D1 scholarship to come play at Georgia Tech. And Georgia Tech is a good institution. That is a great institution. Technology is pretty much runs the world today. And he had the opportunity to go to one of the top schools as far as technology goes and get a free college degree, a free college education. And unfortunately, my man felt the burden was on him, and he ended up killing himself, and his mom was grieving, and I believe he had siblings too. They were living in a car in Florida. So my thing is, Killer Mike and T.I., how come you don't help those people out? Don't come to me about you opening up restaurants and you're opening this up, so you can make money. So you can make money. And I get it. I'm not telling you don't make money. You can do that. Money makes the world go round. That's why we got those stimulus checks. Well, I didn't get a stimulus check, but that's for different reasons. But you got those stimulus checks because the government wants you to spend that money to keep the economy going. That's what the stimulus checks were for. During this pandemic, do you understand that the rich got richer? Jeff Bezos from Amazon he's on track to be the first trillionaire. Business is booming in Amazon. All right? Business is booming. The rich gets rich and the poor gets poor. It's okay to bail out these companies who are worth millions of dollars, but when you need to give help to people of color, black people and people who look like me, it's frowned upon. But you can bail out these big companies. And I say that because when you have the type of clout and, the money that a T.I. has or a Killer Mike has, there's so much that you can do within the communities that you come from, instead of just opening up shops where I have to spend money. How about open up something that would empower us? Send kids to school. And I don't mean they have to go to some fancy school. You can send them to, some a local community college. Set up something where, once they complete a certain amount of credits or however many they need for whatever field they're going to, why don't you set them up to get an intern at some places, and they can turn that into a career? And they might do that. I'm not saying that they don't. I don't know. I'll be straight up with you. I don't know if they already do that. But my thing is, come into the real black communities and do that. And when I say black communities, I mean places like the West Side. Now, for people who aren't from the West Side or aren't from Atlanta, don't know what the West Side is, that is one of the poorest sections in Atlanta. It's the bottom of the bottom. You got Adamsville, you got Bankhead, you got the Oakland City area. But what they do is they take these dollars and they go to a part of DeKalb County where some of the kids are, from middle class, and they don't really need those funds for real. They come from, parents who are doing okay. Or they'll go to Gwinnett County and they'll do for those kids out in Gwinnett who really don't need it. I won't say they don't need it, but they're better off. But they never come to the Atlanta public schools and do those things. That's all I'm saying. If you want to help, start there. Start with your people first in the hoods that you all claim you came up in. T.I. claimed he's from Bankhead and whatever. You from Bankhead, right? So how about you buy that land that's over there in Bankhead, okay, and make some low-income housing for people that can afford it? Just because rent is gone up in Atlanta. I mean, you're pretty much paying $1,000 starting off, no matter what. If it's a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, you start off at $1,000 a month in Atlanta. So how about you buy some land like that? Buy the land, reopen it, and put some rules in place. It's not going to be just because, the person has kids, or that's male or female, doesn't matter, and they just get to live, and pay an X amount of dollars every month, kind of like the welfare system, operates. Don't do that, because you're just enabling people. So yeah, you put rules in place. You got to work, but help those people to, there are some people that don't know. You'll be amazed at how many people don't know how to actually go out and get a job. They come up in these situations, which I call them family curses. I've seen it, where they come up in these poor situations and they end up getting stuck because they don't know how to get out, because no one has gotten out. So the cycle just repeats of high school dropout, have a bunch of kids, live off the system. Next generation, high school dropout, have a bunch of kids, live off the system. Next generation, high school dropout, bunch of kids, live off the system. You are what you hang around. In some cases, you are what you see. I've seen it. I've lived it where I've seen it. There are a lot of people on the west side of Atlanta that are like that. And it just pissed me off when I saw him and T.I. and the mayor come up there and well, you need to stop doing this and stop doing that. Let me tell you something. I get both sides. I get what you were saying, and I get what the protesters are feeling. But I look, F them buildings. Like I said, if it got to get uncomfortable, then it has to get uncomfortable. So we all can be comfortable. So that's my call to those guys. If you want to make a real change, don't come to me when it's chaos going on. Wherever you at when the sun was out, and little Johnny or little Rico and little Daryl down the street, he hasn't eaten in 2 days because unfortunately he's trapped in that family curse. He's trapped in that family curse, and he's at an age where there's nothing he can do about it. So why don't you come in and help those people? Some people really do need help. And I know you can't help everybody. I totally get that. You can't help everybody. You can at least try. But if you really want to help these people, T.I., Killer Mike, don't come to me about going to some polls and voting. How about you help get some jobs over here on the West Side? Create some jobs. Hell. Like I said, go buy up that land that the Bankhead Projects used to sit on. I believe the buildings, I don't know if the buildings are still up. And what's funny is I go by there every now and again. I actually work not too far from there, but I don't even remember if the buildings are still up or if they've been torn down. I couldn't tell you. But you can make low income housing for families that can't afford $1,000 rent, and it's so much that they can do within these cities because they have the resources to. And I wouldn't be talking about this had they not come up and said what they said last night. What they said last night just pissed me off. Pissed me off to the max. I haven't seen any one of Atlanta's mayors for real in my old neighborhood. I grew up there. I was there in my high school years. My siblings were there. They went through elementary, middle, and high school there. For people that's from Atlanta, if you want to know, it's E.L. Connolly. I don't think it's E.L. Connolly Elementary anymore. I think it's Tuskegee, something like that. Sylvan Middle School, Washington High School, our rival Doug High School. I don't see it. I never saw any of these politicians over there. I saw Mayor Shirley Franklin once, and that's because she was going to the grocery store at Publix. Other than that, you don't see these people in the hood. Don't come ask for my vote when you're not going to help the hood out. And let's be real. Don't. What I hated was they made it sound like it was just black people out there. It was white people too. I saw, just from my viewpoint, I saw more white people smashing stuff than black people. But that's neither here nor there. It doesn't matter. It all was being destroyed. So it doesn't matter who it was. But my thing is, don't try and categorize and say just, oh, well, they're just tearing the West Side. First of all, nobody was even on the West Side last night. No one was tearing West Side stuff up. Well, they was downtown, the near State Farm Arena. I know it doesn't make it right, but trust me, CNN has enough money to repair whatever damages that happens. They got enough money. Trust and believe. They do. Something happened at State Farm Arena. Tony Ressler, the owner of the Hawks, I believe he owns the arena as well. Trust me, he has enough money for the repairs. Not saying it's right. Not saying it's right. Wrong is wrong and right is right. But the thing another thing that bothers me is that people was they were more worried about the damage being done as opposed to human life being lost. I can care less about your buildings. You can rebuild those. You can't get human life back. I get it. I get it. It's wrong. It's wrong to be out there looting and all that, but I get the other side too. People of color are tired. Black people are tired. Tired. How long can we keep doing this? Every year it's the same old nonsense. They tell you to come out and vote, put the right officials, the people that you want into these offices. That doesn't work because I'm gonna be real with you. Anybody can be bought. Money makes the world go round. Think about it. You hear all these politicians all the time getting in trouble. Look at the mayor. Bill Campbell was a former mayor of Atlanta. I don't know what he went to jail for, what he went to prison for. I know he went to prison, but it was something dealing with some corruption. I'm pretty sure there was some money involved. I can bet my bottom dollar that was the case. Kasim Reed is under investigation. I saw, I don't know what it was, but he's under investigation. Politicians are corrupt. They are just as corrupt as the police. So I don't want to hear nothing that this Atlanta mayor had to say to me last night about go home and Dr. King wouldn't have stood. Man, get out of here with all that. Miss me with that. That's falling on deaf ears. How long y'all been preaching that same song? It's the same old song. You miss me with that. Tired of it. I'm tired of it. You gotta come better than that. Gotta come better than that. I wanted to get into some sports today. I had some great stories to get into, but I'm so riled up about what took place last night. And it's not even what took place last night. I don't really have a problem with the protesters, what they were doing. Like I said, these places are insured. Target is insured. I know. Did anybody see the woman who got fired, extinguished to death, saying she was protecting Target? Ma'am, Target will be fine. I think Target is worth, I believe it's in the billions. I want to say that. I'm not sure. No. I don't think they're worth in the billions. Anyway, though, the Target is worth more money than I will see in my lifetime. Ma'am, move out the way before you get yourself killed out here with this rioting and looting. Why are you out here in a wheelchair to begin with? Why? Now, the people I do feel bad for are the real small business owners. Like there was a guy I saw on CNN and his barbershop went up in flames. That's sad. Those are the people I feel sorry for. So, Killer Mike, why don't you help that man out? That's a black man in the community of where he lives. Why don't you help that man get his barbershop back up off the ground? That's an essential service. Kids need haircuts. You have a lot of single moms out here that can't cut hair. Unfortunately, you have some that the dads aren't involved. So, they need someone to get their hair cut. And my man's keeping it in the community. Well, his barbershop, unfortunately, in the Minnesota or Minneapolis riots last night went up in flames. And he was told that when he called 911, he was put on the waiting list. He was put on a waiting list because his emergency was considered non-essential, pretty much. So help that guy out. Another black guy, lost his sports bar. I read he had put his entire savings into it. I feel for that guy. I feel for him. So, Killer Mike and T.I., why don't you help that guy out? His business went up and I don't know if it just went up in flames or it was looted, but he ended up losing his business. Help that guy out with that sports bar. Create some jobs. Why don't you hire some people that live in the West Side, as the mayor wants to put it? She said it, not me. Hire some people from the West Side or whatever bad side of town is in Minneapolis, pay them to come help this man out. They need work. Let's give them some work. Let's give them some real work. And I'm not talking about the other word. You all know what I'm talking about. Oh man. You people have no idea. You have no idea how bad watching those three last night pissed me off. And I go online today and everyone is praising all three. Not so much T.I., but Killer Mike and the mayor. T.I. kind of looked like he was high last night. He had bags on his. He looked like they had just woke him up out of his sleep. He looked like they just woke him up and said, "Remember that obligation that you had to fulfill for us? It's time." People, I know if anybody hears this podcast, they're gonna say this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He's telling you don't vote. I'm not telling you don't vote. I'm just saying it doesn't work. I just gave examples of how it doesn't work. I'm just saying that all I'm doing is telling you facts. Stop trying to listen with your ears and use your eyes. When you use your eyes are never going to deceive you. Your ears can't deceive you. Anybody can tell you anything. Use your eyes. You got to remember, this country was built by black people for white people. This country was built on corruption. I hate to break the news to you. And I don't want to come off and sound like I'm racist. I love all people of color. Doesn't matter. In that sense, that's where I agree with Dr. King. I judge a man by his character. But at the same time, I do know I live in the United States of America. And I know what certain agendas are about, you know. And some of that stuff, you can't hide it. It's right in front of you. I'm tired of listening to leaders who don't live in the city that they're supposedly leading in. I asked my brother, I said, ask anybody. Now, for those of you that aren't from here, I asked him, I said, ask anybody you know who lives in a place like Gwinnett County or Alpharetta or Marietta. I said, ask them, when was the last time they came into Atlanta and it wasn't work related? Had nothing to do with work. Not many come into the city. They stay out in their, in white suburbia. And that's what they do. Unfortunately, my people, my black people, we get a little money and we run out to their streets. We run out to Buckhead and we spend our money there. Another way you want to change things, black people, you got to keep your money black. And I'm calling myself out as well. I do the same thing. I'm not excused from this as well. I run out, well, I don't do it like I used to, but I used to be numero uno in line for the newest pair of Jordans. The expensive things that aren't going to serve a purpose for us, instead of keeping our money in the community. I look at shoes. There's this black company I found online that makes shoes. And I look at them. They're ugly. Ugh. But I should buy a pair to help this brother out. This brother is an entrepreneur making shoes, and he's pricing them at a decent price, an affordable price. I said I would do the same thing with, those Lonzo Ball shoes when they came out. I said I would buy a pair to support another black man. So if I was going to buy his shoes, I can't just not also buy the little guy's shoes, the little entrepreneurs, because he's bringing a service to me and providing a service to me that's actually more affordable than what the Lonzo Ball shoes were. But the problem is we don't want to keep our dollars black. And this is going to sound crazy. I think that things work better for black people when there was some sort of segregation, because we were forced to spend black. White people didn't want black people in their stores. They weren't selling to us. So we spent black and the money stayed within the community. Now, don't take what I'm saying and say, oh, did y'all hear All Things Sports with Mike Davis? Mike is on there saying that we should go back to segregation, how it was, back whenever. It's not what I'm saying. Asians, they make their own community. Every race pretty much has their own community but black people. Don't know why. Well, I know why, but that's what we do. We gotta start keeping our money in the neighborhood. And another thing also, I will say this about the police. White people should not be patrolling black neighborhoods. They shouldn't be patrolling black neighborhoods because they don't understand black culture. You usually have black police officers patrolling black neighborhoods. But you know what's crazy? I've had more problems in my life with black police officers than white police officers. So you get your few black ones that, they want to show out. And they want to let the other guys know that they're down. So you have to watch out for that sometimes. But for the most part, I think that black police officers should be patrolling black neighborhoods. I hate when I see white police officers saying, oh, they couldn't wait to come clean the neighborhood up. Bruh, you're not cleaning nothing up, man. Nothing. You might sweep it under the rug for now. But eventually, that it gets dirty again. That dust will come back out from up under the rug. I don't know, people. I'm just tired of it. I'm sick of it. I'm lost. When will the killings end? A man died and didn't have to. He was cuffed. And they moved him every which way in the video I saw when they pulled him out of his car. I want to know how. I don't know if there's a video out there. How did he end up on the ground? And I'm talking about George Floyd. How did he end up on the ground? He's handcuffed. If you look at the video, they pull him out of his car. They cuff him, pulling him out of his Mercedes. So he's cuffed. They put him up against the wall. He's sitting down. And then they drag him across the street, I guess, to the store, where they say he tried to pass a fake bill. And then it just cuts to he's on the ground with a knee in his neck. This could have been preventable. This didn't have to happen. I hate talking about it because even when you talk about things like this, you have people who will say, "Oh, well, he's racist," and they'll say, "Well, black people can't be racist or black people can be racist." Look, I don't care about any of that. All right. I'm here for human decency, compassion, and I need for us to not be second-class citizens. We're just like anybody else. I'm at a loss now. I don't know what else to say. It's tragic. It's sad that this man had to die for pretty much nothing. All right, well, look, people, that's all I got for you today. Thanks for taking time out of your day to include my podcast into your day. If you're listening to the restream of this podcast on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Like and comment on the podcast. New podcasts will air every Wednesday and Saturday on Spotify. So please share the podcast on any of the social media outlets that you use. You've been listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. Remember, it's your world. I'm just giving my opinion. I'm out. Peace.
You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis.